Every F1 team has reasons to be optimistic about the upcoming season, and also plenty of reasons to temper their expectations. Today we'll go through each team in reverse championship order and give their reasons for hope and concern. There has been a major shakeup at Haas this season with a new team principal. Ayao Kamatsu replaces Gunther Steiner in what is a tough but much needed change for the team with the most struggles in Formula One over the last decade. Komatsu will bring in a new leadership that could help propel Haas out of its backmarker placement. The departure of Gunther Steiner, although perhaps for the best, will not be easy to overcome. Losing one of the longest tenured principals on the pit wall will never be a quick adjustment, especially for such a big presence like Steiner, who really was the heart and soul of the Haas team for nearly a decade. After a horrible 2023 season, the Alfa Romeo team has rebranded to Kick Sauber and is looking to more consistently score points in 2024. The good news is that Sauber's testing speeds looked improved from their speed last season, with Valtteri Bottas taking P9 on day 2 and Zhou Guanyu taking P3 on day 3. If the team can maintain these speeds and transfer them into race pace over the course of the year, they will almost certainly score more points than last year. Sauber starts in a large hole after the aforementioned down year in 2023. Even if they do improve significantly, they could still only finish 7th or 8th in the Constructors' Championship. The team certainly has their work cut out for them heading into 2024 if they do want to reach a consistent point-scoring status. With AlphaTauri's rebranding to RB comes a closer alliance with its sister team Red Bull. The VCarb 01 will likely have plenty of mechanical and aerodynamic influence from the RB19 and 20, something we've already seen with successful testing times from the RB team, which now look like the favorites for P6 in the Constructors' Championship. With most everything looking up for RB in 2024, the biggest cause for concern would be the potential for a driver to get called up to Red Bull to replace Sergio Perez in the somewhat unlikely event that he is evicted from his seat mid-season, as was speculated last season, or if he is dropped after 2024. Because of this potential, we can expect a fierce competition between Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda throughout the season, and possibly even some sort of rivalry to develop as both drivers fight for one of the top seats on the grid. James Vowles seems to have detailed a great plan to improve Williams over the course of several seasons, and we saw their improvements over the course of 2023 alone. With Vowles at the helm, we can expect Williams to consistently improve, even if much of their resources and funding are outdated and still a work in progress. Also, a shout out to Alex Albon, who has shown himself to be one of the better drivers on the grid over the past few years. The Williams car has been a rocket ship in a straight line since the new regulations began in 2022. Where it needs desperately to improve still is in the corners, where it is perhaps one of the worst cornering cars on the grid, if not the worst. Williams is going for a new approach with their car this year, and will likely have to fight some reliability and aerodynamic issues as it develops its car to be more corner-friendly. The driver lineup at Alpine is still extremely strong, with two of the best drivers on the grid who haven't been in a top seat, excluding 2019 for Gasly. Whatever problems the Alpine car faces, we can know that both Gasly and Ocon will extract all that they can. As always, testing times can be deceiving, but over its 3 days of testing, Alpine failed to show the speed that they would have liked to. On day 3 of testing, their best lap was only good enough for 15th, and although their first 2 days were more successful, there was still cause for concern from Alpine's testing times. Perhaps the best driver on the grid not named Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso is an extremely valuable asset for Aston Martin, and will certainly score plenty of points for the team this upcoming season. In 2023, Fernando scored 206 points to his teammate's 74, probably the most impressive gap of the season. The Aston Martin team clearly found something at the start of the 2023 season which instantly thrust them into podium contention and kept them there for the majority of the season. However, as the season went on, many of the Aston Martin upgrades failed to improve the car in any significant capacity. As a result, by the end of the season, the team was barely hanging on to point-scoring positions. If Aston Martin wants to return to the podium finishes in 2024, they will need to improve at adapting their car, not just in the off-season, but throughout the season. In 2023, McLaren was able to improve from a backmarker at the start of the season to becoming one of the top teams by the middle of the season. If the team is able to keep improving like they did in 2023, they could easily finish second in the Constructors' Championship, and possibly even challenge Red Bull in 2024 or 2025. Unfortunately for McLaren, their testing results did not show that they were a clear second-place team. In fact, far from it. It was always going to be difficult to maintain their level of improvement, but the testing shows an alarming lack of speed, both in race and qualifying pace, for those with high hopes. It is possible that the McLaren simply struggles at the Bahrain circuit, but only time will tell. The Ferrari's race pace seems to be improved in testing. Over the past few years, Ferrari has struggled with extremely fast cars in qualifying that suffer greatly from tire degradation and lose pace over long runs. Ferrari seems to have improved upon these problems, and we should see a less drastic drop in pace from qualifying to race in 2024 for Ferrari. Even with a greatly improved Ferrari for 2024, the car still looks to be inferior to the RB20 in race pace. It will take a monumental effort over the next few years from Ferrari if they truly want to break through the fight for P2 and work themselves into the championship conversation. Mercedes has finally had a full off-season to work on a new concept for their car, and with it comes improved drivability. The cockpit has been pushed back to where the average F1 car has its cockpit, negating a problem with the W14 that Lewis Hamilton had specifically pointed out publicly. Additionally, the drivers seem to be more content overall with how the car drives and have shedded their typical Mercedes pessimism to an extent. Over the course of testing, despite the improved drivability, the W15 looked to be slower than the Ferrari. The problem stems back to the end of 2023, as throughout the season it seemed that Ferrari was catching, if not passing, Mercedes in pace, and now testing has added on to that claim. Mercedes certainly look like they will have their hands full this year in competition with the improved Ferrari team. In 2024, the best race car driver in the world may very well be Max Verstappen. Winning 19 of 22 races in 2023, he toyed with the competition week in and week out. It would be hard to imagine any major issues caused by Max Verstappen this year, seeing as he had practically no mistakes last season. We also know that he will extract 100% of the pace from the car, no matter the situation. After a horrible middle section of the season for Sergio Perez in 2023, doubt has been cast onto his position at Red Bull. The turmoil would return at an instant if Checo made any mistake throughout the season, and it could prove to be a distraction for the Red Bull team. While the chances of him being replaced mid-season seem low as it stands, we know Red Bull is no stranger to swapping drivers, so the pressure is on Sergio Perez to score podiums week in and week out. Thanks for watching, everybody.